Hi folks, Slick Slices here. I may not be saving the best for last. I think we've probably already seen that, but this is the fanciest certainly, and this is the Cheburkov Strizh. Now this comes in a number of flavours. Well, two sizes for a start. There's the large size, which is sort of roughly large Sebenza size, and this size, which is largely small Sebenza size. So it's very slightly bigger than the small Sebenza, but it certainly doesn't feel bigger. It feels lighter and less of it. But you can get it in various forms. The standard one is with sort of slab titanium sides and an M390 blade, which is, you know, competence. It's kind of plain Jane Sebenza, but it's very plain. Now there are the person that owns this and has lent me it has, I think, about 15 Cheburkov folding knives plus I think 3 fixed blades. So we'll be seeing a bit more of them, including those two, the small and the large plain versions of this. But this one here is the fancy version on steroids. And first of all, it's in carbon fibre, beautiful light carbon fibre, brings the weight right down to about 70 grams. It's got all bronzed hardware, the thumb stud, the pivot, the screws, the titanium backspacer, the titanium machined clip, all bronzed. And this is the pièce de résistance of this knife, it's a liner lock, by the way, but it's only got a thumb stud on one side, which is a bit of a pain for me, because I cannot open it with my right hand, but I can open it using the jimping and complete it with the thumb stud. And then we see there's beautiful Damascus steel, or Damascus steel blade. It looks like Damascus steel, but it isn't actually Damascus steel. It's ZDI 1016 according to the bit on the, I don't know if you can make that out, we can get the light on it right, but it says it there, ZDI 1016. Now I can't find out much information about 1016 except that it's a Russian Damascus steel that is good for making striking blades, for whatever that means. That's as good as information as I can find. I found some information on the chemical makeup of it, but that doesn't mean enough to me to be able to make any judgments about its blade holding ability, its edge holding ability, and the like. I've always been a bit dubious of Damascus because, you know, a good particle metal steel, or a crucible steel for that matter, which is properly homogeneous, is always going to be the best thing to make a metal object out of, particularly a knife blade. The minute you start layering steel with two different steels, one steel is obviously better than the other. If they're not identical, they have to have different chemical makeups. So my preference would be to have taken whichever one was the better one and used that. Back in the days of old, when you had bloom steels and they were wholly unhomogeneous, folding and folding and folding in order to make them something near homogeneous and drive out some of the impurities was an absolute necessity. And the pattern that you made in the steel was simply a consequence of that. Having a better pattern, a finer pattern in the steel, was an indication that you'd worked the steel more and therefore made it more homogeneous and driven out more of the impurities. So it was a good thing, but it's not in itself a good thing, and it doesn't actually add much. However, having said that, when he offered me all the knives and said pick half a dozen to take away to do reviews on, this one jumped out at me, because it just, you know, when you see it compared to the little plain Jane titanium, flat slab titanium versions, this is just, I mean, it just leaves them standing. It makes them look a little bit sad, really. I mean, this has got beautiful crowning to the handle, so it feels better in the hand. It's really light. If you were putting it in your pocket of your suit, you could carry this without it upsetting the line of your suit. It's got a beautifully sharp blade, and you know, just looks attractive, and that in itself makes it less threatening to people, I think, and that's a big thing these days. So yeah, I was rather drawn to it. Maybe I'm just a magpie, and maybe I just thought it looked smart, but it's also, I think, a very good and competent knife, and I don't really have anything to sort of put up against it. The best that I can do is my Hizen, Rockstead Hizen, which is of a similar size. I think, again, like the small Sebenza, it's very slightly smaller, but it's of a similar, you know, similar form factor. It feels similar in the hand. I think the Hizen does have an advantage in that it does have a usable finger trial, which is the blade is cut away so that you're not likely to catch your finger in it. So that's quite good if you've got bigger hands and you want to choke up on it. You can't really do that with this. You're straight into if you went forward of the handle there, you'd be straight into the blade, and it's very sharp, and I don't think you want to do that. But jimping on the back, nice jimping. Not as well done as the Cheburkov that we just saw, but a very nice, very fancy knife, and I'm very pleased to have been able to see it. And you know, we'll be seeing more of these. I think the next video is going to be a comparison of a Cheburkov and a Cheburkov up against each other, and that's interesting because you can really see, you know, why one might buy one over and above the other, and what the real differences are, and why you might pay all the extra for a Cheburkov, which are inevitably much more expensive than Cheburkovs, despite the fact they're both Russian made. It's the small details that make the difference, and of course you lose a lot in diminishing returns as the money gets more. You have to pay an awful lot more to get a smaller and smaller and smaller amount of improvement, but I think there is still an argument to be made for spending the extra on a Cheburkov over a Cheburkov, in my mind anyway. But we'll have a look at that in the next video. In the meantime, let's just look at this particularly beautiful little thing, and I'm very grateful to have been able to see it. I don't know what we're going to have as the next batch, but hopefully it'll not be too long to wait. Thank you very much. See you soon. Oh, if you like the stuff, remember to give it a thumbs up, and if you would like to see that comparison and go on to see the next videos, then remember to subscribe and ring the bell. Thank you. Bye.